This week, I had a chance to watch an early screening of a more independent movie called East of the Wall from director Kate Beecroft. This movie, in a nutshell, is about a woman who trains horses on some kind of land that she owns, and her husband has recently died under strange circumstances. It seems like he may have self-deleted himself, but it's also implied that perhaps there was some other type of things that he used to do that are not so good domestically, if you know what I mean. And now this woman, in addition to the ranch and the horses, also has some of her own children and neighborhood children who are misfits, and she's sort of like a mother figure to them, and they help her with her operation. Everything that she does is kind of a struggle for her, both personally and financially. And then one day, a businessman comes along who recognizes the good work that she does with the horses, and he offers her some type of deal where he would purchase all of her land, setting her and her family up for life, but also expecting her to sort of partner with him as they train and sell horses together, because he thinks that she's good at it, and with his business mind, they're going to make a lot of money. And throughout the movie, she's trying to figure out what she wants to do and how far she's willing to go to get it. And along the way, you learn a little bit more about the different relationships and things like that. Now, when I've explained this movie, I have to say that the premise here does sound rather interesting, and that's really what bothered me about this movie, is that there was an interesting story and concept here that did have merit. The only problem is, it just wasn't executed well enough. You know, often when there's sort of a low budget, you have these kind of indie productions cutting a lot of corners and doing things, expecting people to be just very forgiving because they didn't have a lot of money. And maybe I'd be able to overlook certain things that this movie does that I didn't prefer, such as the camera angles and the shaky camera and all this stuff that just makes the movie feel very cheap. My problem is actually that, first and foremost, the screenplay is very, very weak, and the story unfolds at a very slow pace that just feels very underwhelming and lackluster. I mean, this movie is like 97 minutes, and it felt like it was 2.5 hours, which is never a good thing. And also, it's not like the actors in this movie really carry it on their back either. Apparently, if I understand correctly, the director of this movie wanted to take women who have similar life experiences to the characters on screen, but it seems like those women weren't necessarily classically trained actresses, and it really shows. In fact, the strongest parts of this movie are when you see the actor Scoot McNary, who's a veteran character actor. You've seen him in stuff like *Halt and Catch Fire*, *Batman vs. Superman*. He's been in a lot of stuff, and really every scene with him does feel a little more serious and a little more interesting, but he's not the main character, and there's only so much he can do. And quite honestly, even with a low budget, there's so much you could still do. Look at a movie like *Misery*. You had two actors who were solid, a good story, and it was executed really well. You can have smaller productions and still make them good. But unfortunately, East of the Wall just isn't one of those cases. Since it has this kind of women empowerment theme, I bet that a lot of these festivals that it appeared in recently probably told these ladies that this is the best movie ever made, but that's probably the reason why I don't get invited to those type of festivals, because if I was there, I'd be raining on everybody's parade. I'm not just going to give people a pass because it's some kind of message that people like or some agenda that people enjoy peddling. And I don't care that it's a woman in a man's space. I honestly think that there was a good movie that could have been made based on this idea. But at the end of the day, all I can do is sit, watch the movie, and say if it's good or not. And unfortunately, if I had to give this movie a grade where anything under a 60 is considered a failing grade, I would give this movie a 35 out of 100, which obviously means that it's a fail. And if you want to continue to receive these type of independent reviews, even on small indie films like this one, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, as it would really help me out. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day!
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. But I'm